What up, good people? Mike D here, checking in with you guys, man. I wanted to forge a question. I wanted to forge this question, and I'll give you the context of where this question came from. I want to ask, does Jay Z being inactive musically, we're talking about album releases, does that hurt his legacy with the current generation of hip hop artists? Not artists, excuse me, fans, the hip hop audience, the current generation, the younger audience, you know? I mean, we think about it. It's been how many years since 444? We're in 2025 right now, and 444 dropped in 2017. That's 8 years, man. We're going on 10 years since 444. And although many people love 444, I'm not a huge fan personally, and I want to be, frank. I'm a huge Jay Z fan, and I'm gonna get into that in a second too. But yeah, 444 just wasn't an album that had a bunch of records that stuck with me, and I think over time we've seen that as cool as 444 may have been for many, it's not like a lot of records carried over where we could actually say that they belong on a Jay Z's greatest hits or some of his better works or things of that nature. And let me know if I'm wrong. But anyway, it's been 8 years since that. And then before that, we got Magna Carta Holy Grail. Before that, we got the Blueprint 3. The Blueprint 3, we're dating all the way back to 2009. Blueprint 3 is 16 years ago. American Gangster is 18 years ago. Um, and to me, I think that that's probably his best, most recent work. American Gangster. Personally, I thought American Gangster was brilliant. It was Jay in Jay's pocket. I think it was a grown up version of what we got with Reasonable Doubt. It was like the guy from Reasonable Doubt that actually got out. It was almost like a sequel, an unofficial sequel. I think the Blueprint 3 has some high marks to it too. To me, that is the last time that he sounded like the Jay-Z that, I became a fan of. Saying all that to say though, it's a long time ago for a fan that's 25 years old. And I want to speak to the younger audience here too. And maybe the audience that is in my age bracket that came up in the 90s can speak on this as well. I think that when you hear young people say things like Jay-Z's overrated, I think there's a relatability there where they don't relate to, him, his stories and things of that nature. But most of that is just being removed, right? They weren't there. If you were there in Jay-Z's prime and when Jay-Z was running shit, and I would say honestly, from volume 2 to the Black album, I would say 98 to '03. Jay was on top of his game. Everything was hot. Features were hot. He was on his square, like, what I'm saying? The rhymes was coming like this. He was giving you a hit every single year, where many of his peers were dropping albums every 2 years. He would have a hit on a soundtrack. He was everywhere, and he was always giving 100% when it came to, what I'm saying, his bar work. It took nothing for him to just go in the booth. We've heard these historic stories about how he would go in the booth 15 minutes, no pen, no pad, and then come out with a classic. Now, I mean, and again, I've heard that story when it came to the Blueprint, how quickly he recorded that. He recorded a bulk of the Blueprint in a week's time. All of those things are historic, and those are things that we were there for. But I do believe that to the current generation, being this idol, and when you do show up, on a feature or, even come with an album, even though it's been 8 years, the younger generation isn't as impressed. We're in an era of volume, right? And I think when you're inactive, it does affect how people view you. Now, and younger people, because none of these things are a part of their time. They'll have that excuse to say, look, that's before my time. I was looking at this video where young lady, I wish I knew their names, man. She was interviewing some baseball players that play for HBCUs. I think it was an HBCU All-Star thing, and they were coming out to Atlanta for the All-Star game, the baseball All-Star game that happened. And they were just showing random pictures of Atlanta legends. And these college age students didn't know who Outkast was. Put the picture up there. A couple of them knew who Andre 3000 was. They didn't know who Big Boy was. Um, and again, that's due to inactivity. When, the host was like, "You don't know Miss Jackson," and this and that, like, "Man, I was born in '04." And it's funny that, I mean, and this is gonna take me down a rabbit hole, and I'm gonna come right back around, but it's funny, man. When we first embarked on the digital era and streaming, me as a music fan, I'm sitting here thinking, yeah, like, yo, this is great, man. Like, we're gonna have access to catalogs that we didn't have access to, before. You have to go in a record store and spend thousands of dollars to get, what you're able to get from streaming platforms. But what we did miss, I didn't foresee this. When we were coming up, man, I couldn't escape my father playing James Brown. I couldn't escape my parents' record collection. I was going through my parents' record collection. When it was jam out sessions or whatnot, we were listening to music together. We would have Friday jam sessions or whatnot. My parents would put on their records, and I would know these records. I would know these artists. I would know these songs because my parents played them. I would see them. I could touch them. I could touch the records rather, and it was visible. It was there. You had your parents' catalog, and for the people who came up in the CD era, you had that CD book to go through where you actually had a physical representation of that music. You knew that music based on those things, and you knew that artist based on those things. Marvin Gaye died before I was born, or right around the time I was born, but I knew who he was. You know what I'm saying? Like, and if you showed me a picture of him, I'm like, it's Marvin Gaye. You know what I'm saying? That's Teddy Pendergrass. That's Earth, Wind, and Fire. I've seen these things physically. And now we have an era of kids coming up, but they don't have a parent's collection to go through, really. You have those people who are music people like that. But yeah, you don't have a physical library for your children to go through where they can identify Outkast. They can identify the Akumanai album cover, the AT Aliens album cover. They know Andre Big Boy. They know Cool Breeze. They know Organized Noise. They don't have the liner notes to go through either. And I think that that's something that we really miss. And even though we have access to it all, we don't have the education on it all. And I do think that artists being continuously active is what gets the younger audience into the depth of their catalog. LL Cool J said something when he was on his media run last year. He wanted to put out new music because that was going to entice a younger fan to go back and listen to his previous catalog. They have no reason to do so otherwise. And in my personal opinion, as huge as Jay-Z is and how great his legacy is to us, the reason why kids say they think Jay's overrated and this and that is because they haven't delved into his catalog. I don't think that they're as impressed as we were being there with his catalog. And I think his inactivity musically hasn't really given them the push to say, yo, I want to go back and really study this guy. I really want to go back and check his catalog. I've had many people come to me saying, young people come to me saying that current efforts from some of our legacy acts is what actually got them into our legacy acts and made them go back. We just saw that with Clips. I'm sure Clips have really put a whole new generation on to Hell Hath No Fury. You know what I mean? And look, I don't know what a Jay-Z album looks like in 2025. And I know many people feel like Jay-Z is above putting out hip hop music for whatever reason. And I've always disagreed with that. I don't think anybody's bigger than the music. Y'all know how big of a Michael Jackson fan I am. Michael Jackson's not even bigger than the music. So I think that there's always something to be able to give when you are a musician. Jay-Z is a lot of things, and he's extremely gifted at a lot of things. But what he is first, he is a artist first. He is a musician first. He is an MC and a lyricist first. Just like Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan may be a lot of things. They're basketball players first. And you have that ability to be able to get on the mic and have something to say. And I know Jay has incredible wordplay. He has a brilliant mind to put these things together. I do think that it is necessary to put together an album. Now, many of you guys probably feel like he has nothing to prove, and I'm not saying it's anything to prove. This is for the love of music and to actually pull different generations into your legacy, because I feel like a lot of what we're doing right now, and we saw it with the Book of Hove during the Hip Hop 50, it's almost just telling a certain generation that, this is your history. This is what you're supposed to hold high. This is who you're supposed to hold high. But you also have to give them that reason why, in my personal opinion. But I would love to see a Jay-Z album in 2025. I don't know who would produce it. I don't know what sonically it would sound like. That's the mystery of it all, too, right? That's the level of greatness and the level of digging that it would take as an artist, because to me, this would be his most difficult feat ever. Because a lot of the time, I mean, if we look at the bulk of his catalog, especially when he was on his roll and when he was running in the 90s, early 2000s, he was going on a rhythm. And when you're going off rhythm and sounds have changed, times have changed, your life has changed, this is the most difficult feat ever. And I would love to see it. You know what I mean? And you guys let me know what you think. I want y'all to hit like and subscribe on this, because I feel like this is going to be an ongoing conversation. Because do you think that Jay-Z's done with making albums? Or do you guys think that Jay-Z has a couple more albums in him, or just one more album in him? And do you think that people will, rally around it? Do you think that this would be a big, big event for hip hop? Let me know what y'all think in the comment section, man. Hit like and subscribe. Talk to you soon.